Welcome to the H12 Prep Baseball and Softball Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined as always by my partner, Dave Dickens of EastCountySports.com. Dave, we brought an interesting combination here into the Ryan Center at Christian High. I've got senior Eric SMELKO of the Helix Highlanders and AUDREY SHEBLOSKI of the Christian High Patriots. And Dave, we brought them in together. We thought we were going to have talk about a couple of undefeated teams to start the season. These teams are off to a bit of a rough start, but the connection that we brought between these two is Eric is going to be off to St. Mary's College this year after his graduation from Helix, and AUDREY, she's going to be heading to New Mexico State. But interestingly, when Eric went up to St. Mary's in Moraga, he was actually matched up with AUDREY's brother in his tour of St. Mary's College. You know how you always have a team member from the university take you around, tell you what it's all about, show you the facilities and why you might enjoy it there. And just so interesting, we brought them both in. They met one another and said, "Oh my gosh, AUDREY, your brother was my escort at St. Mary's when we went up there." So just thought that was so interesting. We're going to ask him a few questions. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. So how did that all come about? I mean, what was the decision maker for? I'll talk to you first, AUDREY, of choosing a smaller school like that. Do you know?
Yeah, I definitely liked how there was more of a college town. There's no professional sports teams there, so everyone's an Aggie fan. Like, that's where you go on your free time. I really connected with the coaches, and I really loved their facilities. Like, even though it's in New Mexico and that's not the glorious state, I fell in love with it there, and I think overall it was a really good decision.
Great. And then how about you, Eric?
You know, the coaching staff up at Moraga, California is just amazing. They're just two quality people. Coach Valenzuela, I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to play for him, and he's like, "We will really want you." And that was kind of my deciding factor. It's beautiful. It's near San Francisco, so I can go to the city anytime I want to. I'm just really fortunate to get that opportunity to play at the next level.
And how was your guide?
It was fantastic. Couldn't say anything bad about it.
Definitely knew the place up and down, and then you walk in, and then phenomenally enough, you meet the sister of the player that you're going to be on the field with, right?
It's a coincidence. It was like I knew the name sounded familiar, and it was like, whoa, that's cool. And so it was just really lucky.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
AUDREY, you started off the season, although you started off, 0-2, 0-3. You had a kind of a rough road it was Mar Vista, but because of that, you guys learned a lot, and then you won 2 back-to-back games, and you now have 3 home runs on the season leading the team.
Yeah, I definitely think the losses helped us know what we need to work on, and we definitely have been working a lot harder at practice. So this week we have Bonita Vista, so I think we're definitely just going to do our best, and hopefully we win. And I've definitely had a goal to hit a certain amount of home runs this year, and I think not trying too hard is how to do your best.
Well, that's what you were telling me is, not overdoing it at the plate. You were telling me earlier this week, and how about if you wanted to comment on your freshman that was on the hill actually in your last game. Freshman hadn't pitched, and her first game she gets a win.
Yeah, that's freshman Kate Maines.
Yeah, that was really good, especially for her confidence. I think now she's like, I can do this now, playing against people that are a lot older than me. I think that win helped bring the team up and especially bring her up, so that was really good.
and she walked quite a few. So she was kind of borderline of on the exit of the game, and then she put it together and got you guys off the field and got you a win. So that's definitely got to be confidence for the whole team moving on against Bonita Vista.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely brings everyone up, and we play more together as a team when we're all like talking and like especially supporting her, because if pitching falls apart, it's not gonna go well.
And one last thing, I wanted to find out. Rachel had filled in at catcher. How's Devin doing? What's the status for your first string catcher?
I know she's still a little tight, and I don't know for sure if she's gonna catch on Thursday. But even if she can't, I think Rachel can do her job back there. I think she'll be fine.
She did great
Yeah.
for you in last game. So
Yeah.
Well, Audrey, you said you had a goal for the amount of home runs. You had 2 home runs last year. You have 3 already, and there's only been like a handful of games. What is that goal? Do you mind sharing with us?
My goal was 5, but I think at this point I could probably go above that, considering I already have 3, and it's like the 4th game.
Yeah, I'll say. Interestingly, Dave, I mentioned to Audrey before the telecast here is that another East County player also has 3 home runs. We don't want to leave her out. Audrey Baggy of Steel Canyon. So it's interesting. I could see 14 or 15 years down the line a series of girls named Audrey as the parents try to groom their young ladies to be power hitters like those great Audreys from the late decade here. So Audrey, you mentioned New Mexico State. Tell me your experience. You committed before your sophomore year, I believe,
Right
or
at the
during
beginning.
New Mexico State, Dave mentioned as a small school, but right now, you look at what's going on in the Western Athletic Conference, and New Mexico State is softball in the Western Athletic Conference. 4 straight league championships. I think they shared one of them, but they've also won the conference tournament the last 2 years. When you committed, they were really just getting that winning tradition started. I think they had 1 or 2 championships, and you've seen this grow. You said to me you're probably not going to change even if something else happens, and I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why you're seeing some winning going on there.
I'm really happy with my decision, because once I saw them, they were starting to win. I was like, okay, something can happen here. And I've seen some of their recruits for the 2019s and some of their 2020s. I think it's definitely looking good.
Eric, as we go along here, we got to ask you about these Highlanders. Dave was insistent on bringing you in early in the season for our interview because you're our first repeat guest, so thank you for coming back in. But I think he was thinking preseason number 1, we were going to be talking to Eric SMELKO, the undefeated Helix Highlanders.
For sure.
Well, now being a Highlander, I got to bust you a little bit. What's going on? What's up with Coach Holland? What's he saying? I know in that interview with Dave, he wasn't necessarily pleased with the way things were going. I think the way he kind of insinuated the situation was this team has all the talent in the world, some of the best talent, all the preseason all-CIF guys up and down the roster, and that maybe we were just looking ahead to beyond Helix a little bit with all of our veterans and all of our guys going off to college, and forgot about the business at hand. The games we've won, we've been very impressive. We've played a tough schedule, a very tough schedule, like all these top-tier Division I teams too. It's almost like a league unto itself, Dave. It's so thrilling the way these top teams go at it in this preseason. What's going on, Eric?
Thank you guys for having me on again. It's an honor to be back here again. But this year we just haven't quite clicked yet, and we haven't caught our stride. But 2 years ago we haven't caught our stride yet, and we made it to the CIF championship in the open division. So I think we could make it there. We just have to click and we have to get going, which I believe is coming soon here.
And I'm sure you're always licking your chops when it comes to the Foothillers from Grossmont, because naturally they're one of your rivals that in just about every sport that you guys want to take down, but especially after they ended up winning the D1 championship, and I'm sure that should be one of the goals as well.
Yeah, opening up league play against them is going to be tough. It's our first game out. I'm playing a 1-game series against Grossmont, especially how hot they're playing right now. It's going to be a tough game, but I think we're really looking forward to the challenge, and if we have a good week this week, we might be able to put it against Grossmont. But with Coach Abruzzo over there, it's a great coach, so you never really know.
Eric, and the thing that stood out that Coach Holland was talking about is you do have, how did he put it? You do have the guns, but you got to have the bullets to actually execute. And so far, offensively, that has been your biggest struggle. Is that not correct?
Oh, that is definitely correct there, and it's Coach Honest put us in a great situation to succeed, but we just haven't come through yet with that one big hit he keeps saying, and we just need to have that one gap shot to score a runner from first, and I think it could all be over for the rest of the county. We could catch fire, and we just could go on a roll.
You always do. I mean, typically in the past, history has always had it that you guys will eventually catch it, and guys like yourself and Richardson, if they get hot, you better look out.
Yeah, especially with Jordan Thompson catching on fire right now. I believe 3 home runs in the past 7 games, so I think if we can all catch fire at once, it's going to be bad news for everybody else.
Dave, all 5 of Helix losses are to good teams because they all played these games early. They lost to Eastlake twice, and Eric, that game the other day when Eastlake robbed a home run, jumped over the fence and caught that ball, you know, it was definitely heading out. I mean, that was the difference between splitting 2 games with Eastlake and losing 2 games with Eastlake, and Helix was the preseason #1, and I voted Eastlake is not #1 right now. I voted them #1 this week, but they were ranked #3. So Helix is 2-5. They'll get another chance against Madison in their next game, followed by Scripps Ranch. Before we get into that awkward setting with Grossmont, and then we play them 2 games after that, like. After another game.
Yes.
And while the other series, and Dave, I want to tell you about and ask Eric also about the interesting formatting this year of the Grossmont Hills League. I think it's very interesting the way they did it. But Audrey, I want to get back to you real quick. We're going to go back and forth and ask you about Coach Gentry. He's in his 4th year here, and really his 8th year at Christian. He took over several years ago for a legendary coach here, Roma Dawson, Christian High. Just a lot of softball tradition. And Coach Gentry's been around for a lot of it. Is that something that instills in you guys a tradition here at Christian?
Well, I just know that he's done a lot for the program. I mean, he has 2 back-to-back CIF titles, so that was really good for him. And I think he's really good with the players. He really connects with them. And he just tries to bring the team together, and he runs good practices, and him and Ricky do a great job as the coach. I haven't heard any complaints from them.
Yeah, just 2 years ago, Dave, Christian won the CIF title, Division III CIF title, so they have a lot of championships here.
Yeah, when I was talking to Coach Gentry, he actually was reflecting on some of the games of when his daughter was actually playing, and when my father, Bill Dickens, was actually covering her when she was playing here at Christian, and she had put a pretty good dent in the system over here as well, and she's also now assisting with Coach Gentry as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good connection to have, like, someone that played at Christian and that, like, knows about it and, like, from the history. I just think they want to keep the tradition of winning happening, so I think that's a big goal for us this year.
And you mentioned Devin Christick. She's hitting over 500. Mallory Steele also over 500. But unlike the Highlanders, it's been a little bit of pitching. Team ERA approaching 7, around 7 right now. So that's the area where the Patriots are going to have to reverse that a little bit, Dave.
No, absolutely, and I think. I mean, the young ones coming up, but I think that's going to be one of the keys to the pitching situation and changing it up. And, I mean, you got a good start already.
Yeah.
And, I mean, anybody else that you would like to mention that you think is going to be key and is going to turn it around on the mound?
I think Mallory and Kate will turn around on the mound. I think Kate, as a freshman, was definitely nervous pitching her first couple games, and I just kept telling her, relax, you're a freshman, like, no one cares. And I think Mallory is, like, she's a senior now. She feels like she has to put up good numbers, and I'm just like, relax, you're a senior. Like, I'm trying to, like, calm both of them down, but I think they're getting better because I've seen Mallory at practice pitching better. Kate pitched better today, so we're getting there.
And how is it to... I mean, what's the whole feel in that dugout playing for Coach Gentry and his daughter as well?
It's all pretty good. Like, we all really like what he does and, like, how he does everything. And I think all the girls, I'd say one of the big things they like about the softball team is the coaches.
Yeah, Dave, interestingly, after those 3 losses to start the season. The offense came on, and it was Audrey who hit those hit a home run in each of the 2 wins. And interestingly, though, Audrey had that big home run, and it was actually Kate that kind of stole the headlines with her pitching performance in that game. And I'm sure that Audrey will gladly take a back seat to get a great pitching effort and get the Patriots back on track. So, Eric, you guys shook up the top of the lineup last game against Cathedral. You put in Noah Lane into the leadoff spot, moved Alonzo Richardson down to the 3 spot. I'll say, Dave, Alonzo Richardson, I don't know if you looked at the county, you looked at what the media was saying, he might be the favorite for County Player of the Year. And I think in accordance to those expectations, he, like the Highlanders, might be off to a little bit of a slow start, but maybe his bat might be suited better, even though he will be a terrific leadoff hitter at the college level, or whatever he ends up doing. Maybe just a little bit more sock, a little bit more power. Do you think the lineup will stick? What do you think's going on?
Honestly, I think it's a team effort. It's not, you can't single out one player who's not doing his job right. And like I said earlier, we just haven't gotten a big hit yet. Zoe hasn't quite gotten the start, neither have I, but I believe it's all coming together. Once we start clicking as a team, we get that big hit, it's gonna be trouble.
Yeah, you have experienced players on the club: Carlos Okita, Devin Baker, Jack Sothris. Man, a lot of veterans, and also you're handling the pitching staff. Tell me about your staff: Jordan, Thomas Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yeah, Thomas Kennedy, returner from last year. You lost a little bit of pitching last year, but he came on so strong at the end of last year. The pitching's holding up so far, I take it.
Yeah, I mean, our ERA is a little bit over 4, I believe, but we still have the talent to get there. Like Coach Holland said, we have the firepower. We just need the bullets. Thomas has done a really great job of hitting his spots. He just got hit up in the Madison game. Jordan Thomas, his last game against Eastlake, he came out with vertigo, so he's been on the sideline for about a week. But he just keeps on throwing. He's got great pitches, got great stuff. And Alonzo Richardson is now our second starter, I believe, and he's just done a great job of shutting teams down.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave. Some of these games, it prepares you for a tough league season, but you look at the Grossmont Hills League and there's absolutely no breaks. Interestingly, the format has changed this year. The Grossmont Hills League has 4 teams.
Yeah.
Helix, Grossmont, Santana, and Granite Hills. Incredible. That's no breaks right there. That's like That's like playing Madison, Saints, Cathedral, Eastlake. It just continues on through the regular season. And you look at the last poll, Grossmont and Granite Hills, immediately, after Granite Hills had that great run, they were immediately thrust into the top 10. Granite Hills was number 6, Grossmont's number 7. Santana right there also with their great finish last year.
And you know what? It's like every game's a playoff game when it starts the league. And you know, the funny thing about James Davis is he says it every year. You know, he says, I don't know if we're going to have really much this year. And, you know, we're young and, you know, the typical cliche. And then next thing you know, they did as all of you did because of the rains, and whether it be in baseball or softball, the rains, you know, there was a little rust. There wasn't as much practice time available. So obviously that started the season off rough. Since then, though, the Eagles have been on fire, whether it's hitting or pitching. I mean, they lost a tough one yesterday to Cathedral, but they did split with Cathedral. They won the other one on an error, but their pitching's been lights out. They even got a new kid, Austin Smith, out there. He's been pitching phenomenally. He's even been hitting the ball. So Granite Hills is loaded. Helix is loaded. Grossmont's loaded with pitching and hitting. Santana's got the dream team as far as the coaching staff. We got Noble and Victory and Ledesma over there. So as you mentioned, Ramon, it's a playoff game every game when league starts.
The winner of the Grossmont Hills League is going to be definitely deserved of a league title.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us on the East County Sports Report. For Dave Dickens, Audrey SHEBLOSKI, Eric SMELKO, new friends. They got a connection here. Probably be seeing each other casually over the years. I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us on the East County Sports Report.